We all know how it works, right? First Bitcoin pumps, then Ethereum follows, and after that, we get the part that everyone loves the most, altcoin season, when we all get hilariously rich. This is when capital rotates into altcoins. First, the major altcoins, the big layer ones, all that kind of stuff. Then it flows further out along the risk curve to mid caps, small caps, meme coins, NFTs, maybe AI agents. And this is where you get the huge multiples happening in a very, very quick amount of time. And also, everything gets lifted up. This is the rising tide that lifts all boats. So you don't really need to be a genius to make money. It's just a bull market. You're not a genius. It's just a bull market. Just make sure that you're allocated. Remember to take profits because it'll get pretty crazy, or at least that's how it all happened before. But right now, here in 2025, deep into the bull market, it looks like things might be playing out differently this time. At least that's what a lot of people are saying. And a very big question right now is, what if this time there is no altcoin season? What if this time is different? Well, later we're going to look at some counter arguments to that view, so stick around to the end if you want an optimistic take. But first, let's look at some of the reasons that are frequently being cited about why we're not going to get an altcoin season this time. First of all, there's simply too much dilution. Too many damn tokens are coming out all the time. In fact, a recent chart showed that there are now more than 36 million unique tokens, and that figure is on track to be at 100 million by the end of the year. Now, this is because it's now very easy to deploy a new token thanks to websites like pump.fun. All you have to do is take a quick look over there to get an idea of how simple it is and how much garbage is being churned out daily. Now, you got to keep in mind here that the vast majority of this stuff is absolute crap. And for comparison, consider that in 2017, 2018, there were fewer than 3,000 tokens in total. Well, in 2013, 2014, there were fewer than 500. So a huge difference in token total amounts. And that suggests that attention is now very, very scattered. Capital can't get behind one coin to pump it like crazy like it did before. The capital in the markets is getting spread too thinly. Also add to that situation the number of coin unlocks that are regularly happening. So all the big VC tokens keep dumping tokens into the market, hundreds of millions of dollars a week on average, even sometimes a day. So for example, in just 1 week from January end to the beginning of February, there's a flood of tokens from big names like Sui, Ronin, Optimism, along with newer projects like Grass. Again, then we have overall altcoin supply increasing, but with not enough buyers to soak up all that new supply flooding into the market. And that all leads us to the same damn place. Crypto capital is spread too thinly for an everything pumps kind of ultimate alt season. And at the same time, there may be another factor at play, which is, before we get into that, let's do a quick shout out to today's sponsor, which is Lake. This is a company facilitating access to real world assets, or RWAs, without tokenization, redefining what RWAs are even in the first place. You see, Lake broadens the traditional definition of real world assets to include digital tokens that provide access to tangible or intangible off-chain assets without directly tokenizing them. A broader real world asset definition is coming, and Lake is advocating for that updated RWA definition. They're saying real-world assets in blockchain are digital tokens that represent or give access to these tangible or intangible assets from the off-chain world. So you can think about goods, commodities, real estate, or any other asset with value. Now, Lake is focused on water, but they're not actually tokenizing the water. You see, unlike conventional real-world asset models that tokenize assets, Lake does not tokenize the water itself. Instead, the Lake token, LAK3 token, facilitates access to the water economy, fostering opportunities that were previously unavailable and inaccessible to individuals. So their ecosystem-based access model, this basically the value of the Lake token, lies in the ecosystem that's built around it, providing a seamless way to interact with the water economy through blockchain technology. So what they're doing is a super cool idea. And if you'd like to learn more about what Lake is doing, how their real-world asset solutions are shaking up the game in the RWA space, then there's a link down below where you can check it out and learn some more. And thanks as always for supporting our sponsors. Okay, now let's talk about Bitcoin breaking away from crypto, because this is something you're gonna hear a lot. Well, it's Bitcoin's cycle, everything else just into the dumpster bin where it's always belonged. Now, to be fair, Bitcoin maximalists have always been saying this and have always been very quick to distinguish between Bitcoin and everything else. But maybe now BTC and altcoins really are, in much clearer ways than ever before, just two completely separate, different beasts. And even myself, I look at Bitcoin as a totally different asset within the cryptocurrency space. There's everything else, and then there's Bitcoin. But this is now becoming a narrative. Well, see, because of that, these altcoins are just going to keep going to zero and nothing's ever going to pump. Because they're two completely different beasts, the ways they interact and affect each other have changed for good. Wall Street's changed the game for Bitcoin. After all, Bitcoin's now shielded by $10 trillion asset managers over at BlackRock, right? One of the biggest companies in the damn world. Company is bigger than silver, Saudi Aramco, Meta. They're big. BlackRock, big deal in case you haven't heard about them. Larry Fink, the master of the world, the CEO of BlackRock, has become one of the biggest influencers in the Bitcoin space. And if the main buyers of Bitcoin right now are Michael Saylor, major financial institutions, ETF investors, millionaires, billionaires, etc., why should any of that money well past Bitcoin? It's all just going to go to Bitcoin. Why would it flow into altcoins? There's no reason to. They just want Bitcoin. What we're seeing here is that Bitcoin is a lot stickier now this cycle. Altcoins can dump dramatically and Bitcoin barely moves, much more so than ever before. And this might work the other way too, just as most ETF buyers aren't really flinging, just some loose change they found under the couch at every pumped up fun coin that's coming out there. The opposite also applies here, because guess what? The meme coin gambling Zoomers, they're not onboarding to crypto through BTC. It's old boring boomer coin. In fact, they may not touch BTC at all, meaning the separation between Bitcoin and altcoins is actually growing. Institutional money, big money, is chasing Bitcoin. Everyone else is trying to get rich in the trenches. So old patterns from past cycles, those that, money flows from Bitcoin to Ethereum to alt, etc., might fade away. That means we might end up with a whole different kind of cycle where no matter how big Bitcoin gets, it doesn't equate with much more liquidity flowing into altcoins. And in fact, the recent Trump token drop revealed the lack of depth in the altcoin markets. See, Trump acted as a liquidity black hole, sucking up altcoin capital so that as its market cap grew, other coins, especially things like memes and AI tokens and AI agents and all that stuff, dumped super mega hard, simultaneously creating a split in sentiment. If you caught Trump, euphoria, you made money, you could 10x your wealth in a day. But if not, your portfolio's down bad. This kind of emotional rift is not typical of a true altcoin season, which previously all the boats rose together and everyone got caught up in the thrill. It's been very, very select. Trump coin, certain coins here are hyperliquid, Solana at a certain time, certain meme coins, dog with hat, etc. So that's one view, and it's a little more bleak, and it means there's still plenty of opportunities to make money, but they're very select and harder to come by and harder to spot early. But are there any signs that actually alts can still come good? They can still make a bunch of money. Those fundamentally valuable coins will at some point go. Well, let's look at some possible reasons why altcoin season's probably still coming, and it'll probably get a lot crazier than people think. But are there any signs that alts can actually still come right? That we can have this crazy make money season with all your old fundamentally valuable altcoins? Well, first of all, we have the level of Bitcoin dominance. When this measure falls, an altcoin season becomes more likely as capital and attention move from Bitcoin into altcoins. Although the figure is high right now at 56.2%, it might be starting its downwards trajectory. And if it in fact does start to fall significantly, that would be a positive sign for a potential altcoin season. This is something we generally look for. Okay, Bitcoin dominance is falling, dog coins are gonna pump. This kind of move isn't clear right now, but dominance is definitely worth keeping tabs on, although with all the institutional inflows into Bitcoin, perhaps not as solid of a metric as it may have once been. Then we have one of the most important market drivers, and I'm talking here about primal emotion, greed.
Greed, for lack of a better word, is good.
Why are we all here in the first place? To make money. Well, we love the technology, that's great too, but come on, you're here to make money, right? And that means looking for the biggest, juiciest returns, the 10, 100x, and 1000x multiples that you only get out on the farthest edges of crypto risk, where you can lose all your money or make a fortune in altcoins. The point is that crypto is reflexive, and price increases can then drive prices even higher. Number go up technology is the number one thing that gets people buying. So you might be looking at a big meme coin that's at rock bottom after a huge correction, thinking it has to bounce sometime. If it does, well, it's gonna be an easy 2x. But then a 2x bounce pulls in more buyers. Oh, this one's coming back to life. We should all buy it now. After all, it's still way off its previous all-time highs. It's a famous meme coin. Dog with hat, anybody? So the price goes up more, which pulls in more buyers who are now thinking about the possibility.
Well, it's going to go to a new all-time high. I should buy more. I'm a genius anyway. Buy more. It's a bull market, baby.
Come on, this one's gonna be a winner.
Now you can see how this might go. Greed drives prices higher, and high prices trigger more greed. And this spreads out to other tokens. Holy crap, Dog with Hat was just a big winner. What are the other dog tokens we can buy? Let's chase those now. And then maybe an altcoin season starts to take shape. Also, let's not forget about macro factors, especially liquidity and the strength of the US dollar. Put simply, a lower interest rate environment with high liquidity is bullish for risk assets and for cryptocurrency more broadly, and perhaps especially for altcoins, which are more speculative, obviously, than Bitcoin, dramatically so the further down you go, obviously. And as it goes, President Trump has explicitly stated that he'll push Jerome Powell and the Fed to reduce rates. Now, they didn't do it at this week's meeting, but we should expect at least 2 rate cuts this year, potentially more. It's also apparent that Trump favors a weaker dollar, just like he did in his last presidency, which is also good for crypto. The dollar index has been steadily falling since he came into power, actually just before he came into power. This was clear in his first term as president when he tweeted exactly that, and it seems to be true now. And as you can find, both Morgan Stanley and UBS are forecasting a weaker dollar. Although note that UBS predicts this for later in the year after initial strength, while also there is definitely no consensus around this, with some other economists disagreeing, saying no, the dollar is going to pump up and it's going to be bad for risk assets. Finally, though, even aside from the macro situation, having no altcoin season starts to suggest that the cycle top is in and we should pack it up. But weak altcoins with Bitcoin consolidating looks much more like a sign of another possible move up for Bitcoin to 150K in March or April, for example, rather than a cycle top, which would mean that there's still time for altcoins to go. Because when Bitcoin runs from wherever it's at now to 150K, altcoins are gonna go bananas. Okay, there's still time for alts to go on a crazy kind of run, the kind of run that typically occurs right at the end of a cycle, blow off top style, all the coins get a Burj Khalifa pattern. They have small caps, you have meme coins. They've taken a hammering in the last month, but these are the kinds of corrections on high risk altcoins that are typical. They're not a surprise. Look at past cycles, and that's exactly what you expect if you're holding altcoins. Huge volatility in both directions. Oh, everybody loves the upside volatility, but not the downside volatility. You have to adapt. This is what altcoin investing is. It's ridiculous, okay? And along with the big emotional swings in the timeline from fear to greed and back again, okay? It's gonna be nuts. It's a hard ride. It's not easy. Anyone says, you just got lucky. Screw you. I worked hard for this. And none of this needs to suggest, of course, that altcoin seasons are a thing of the past. What we realistically might see is a change in the character of altcoin seasons. Token dilution means careful asset selection becomes much more important. Rotations may happen much faster than before, and effective profit-taking strategies are critical. You might need to be much quicker to react, and as the saying goes, have strong opinions loosely held. Meaning that as traders, you have to adapt to changing conditions, constantly be taking money off the table and out of the market. Okay, don't just keep rolling the dice and doubling down all the time. You can double down with some of the money, but not all the money. If you had a big win, get out. Get out, man. Take the money out of the market. And you have to always be ready to change to market conditions without completely freaking out if the market acts weird, because it is going to act weird. That's what crypto does. But again, needing to adapt as markets change is in of itself nothing new. Having patience through drawdowns is the same as it ever was. And identifying which assets to keep and which assets to cut should also be a familiar issue, because you will need to cut some assets, man. All in all, then, altcoins and altcoin season may not be exactly the same as it was before. Nothing ever exactly repeats, but we do get rhymes, and there will probably be a mass speculation and greed wave that puts most altcoins to crazy valuations. But then again, no 2 cycles are ever identical, and calls for the end of altcoins altogether, that might be a little over the top. And remember too that whatever happens and however much conditions might change, the market will always provide new opportunities. There's always gonna be new narratives, new coins launching, all that kind of stuff. So keep an open mind, keep clicking, you can make it. I believe in you. Remember to take profits, because when the crash comes, it'll be bad and all these coins will go to zero. Okay, thanks for watching.